You remained centered as messages flooded in about the chaos unfolding in your former community circle, the same group that had spread vicious rumors about your gift of discernment being dangerous and unstable. While you focused on healing and rebuilding your life, their carefully hidden schemes were being exposed one by one, from manipulating vulnerable people with false promises to exploiting sacred traditions for profit. The divine timing was undeniable. Just as you found genuine peace and purpose, their entire social network was imploding under the weight of their own deceptions, proving that some forms of karma arrive with perfect biblical precision. The morning air is still. You wake up rested, untouched by the weight of the past, anchored in peace. Then the first message arrives. A former co-worker texts, "Did you hear? The office is under investigation." Another writes, "They're scrambling. Everything is being audited." The floodgates open. Call after call, name after name. The same people who once moved recklessly, convinced they could manipulate, deceive, and oppress without consequence, now drowning in the weight of their own choices. You're exactly where you need to be, centered, unshaken, free. While they scramble for explanations, you continue your morning routine. You light your sage, set your intentions, and take a deep breath. This is not your battle, this is their reckoning. They thought they had moved in silence, that their betrayals would never come to light. They assumed their hands were clean because they buried the evidence deep. But truth does not stay hidden. Moses declares in Numbers chapter 32, verse 23, "Be sure your sin will find you out." Every lie they told, every unjust decision, every deceitful move, dragged into the light. The same darkness they used to operate is now suffocating them. You check your phone, another message. They're calling lawyers. People are being fired. They should have never done you like that. It was always going to end this way. They spent years building their false kingdom, cutting corners, backstabbing, twisting the system in their favor. They mocked your principles, dismissed your warnings, laughed when you walked away. They can't escape what's coming. Investigations, lawsuits, exposure. Everything they thought they controlled is crumbling in their hands. You are untouchable. You sip your tea unbothered. Your peace remains intact while their world turns to ruins. This isn't revenge. This is order being restored, and you don't have to lift a finger. They built their kingdom on deception. Every lie stacked upon another, every fraudulent move hidden beneath polished words, every backroom deal sealed with a handshake that carried the weight of betrayal. They thought they were untouchable. The power they flaunted, the money they hoarded, the influence they used as a weapon, all of it was meant to protect them. But nothing built on sand can stand. The ground beneath them is giving way. You see it happening in real time. The same, ones who once moved unchecked, who held meetings behind closed doors, who controlled the flow of success and failure like it was theirs to distribute, now scrambling for cover. A desperate executive shouts, "Find a way to fix this." A lawyer warns, "They have evidence, a lot of it." A former ally whispers, "They're turning on each other." They were never strong. They were protected. Protected by a system that rewarded their deception, by a network that thrived. On secrecy, by people too afraid to speak against them. But when the divine steps in, no fortress is strong enough to withstand the storm. You check your phone again. More updates. Assets frozen, contracts revoked, investigations launched. Everything they used to prop themselves up is now being used against them. They are losing in ways they never anticipated. No money can reverse the damage. No lawyer can erase the evidence. No influence can stop the reckoning. They laughed at you when you walked away, called you foolish, told you that you would never make it without them. But look at them now. Their offices, once bustling with arrogance, are filled with tension. Their voices, once dripping with control, now waver. With uncertainty, their reputations, once shielded by their status, are unraveling faster than they can contain. You see the news, you read the statements, you hear the panic in their voices. You are untouched because you never needed their system. They needed you. They built their empire by taking shortcuts, but truth was always the long game, and truth always wins. They smiled in your face, called you a friend, acted like they supported you, but behind closed doors, they were the architects of your struggles. They planted doubt where there was certainty, moved in whispers, shaping false narratives, played the role of an ally while quietly ensuring you never got too far. And for a while, they succeeded. You couldn't understand why doors kept closing, why opportunities slipped away, why the same people who once championed your name suddenly grew cold. You doubted yourself, wondered if you were imagining it, but you weren't. The truth is spilling out. A former colleague confesses they were sabotaging you the whole time. An old friend admits, "I didn't see it before, but they were working against you." Once loyal supporter mutters, "I should have spoken up." The ones who operated in the shadows are now fully exposed. The schemes they crafted with precision are coming undone in ways they never saw coming. Their own words, their own actions, used as evidence against them. People are seeing them for what they truly are. The power they once held over you, gone. The stories they spun about you, no longer believed. The influence they had, shattered. You don't have to say a word, because the truth is handling them for you. Their masks have slipped. Their credibility is collapsing. Their grip on your story has been ripped away. They thought they could rewrite your narrative, but your truth was always stronger than their lies. They thought they could take what was yours, your time, your opportunities, your peace. They used their positions, their influence, their connections, not to uplift but to control. Every chance you had to move forward, they found a way to block. Every door meant for you, they tried to lock. And for a while, it looked like they won. Your work was overlooked, your efforts were dismissed, your name was buried beneath lies and politics. But what is meant for you can never be stolen. And now, it's all coming back. The same abundance they delayed, it's arriving. The same blessings they tried to claim, they're being returned. The same opportunities they hoarded, now placed directly in your hands. You don't have to chase, you don't have to beg. Everything that was held from you, the recognition, the resources, the reward of your labor, is being restored with divine precision. A business deal you lost unexpectedly comes back. A position that once rejected you now seeks you out. A door that was slammed shut opens wider than before. Because what they tried to deny you was never theirs to control. Joseph's own brothers sold him into slavery, convinced they had erased his future. They stripped him of his coat, his home, his freedom, but they could never strip him of his calling. Even as a prisoner, he carried greatness. Even in the pit, his destiny was waiting. And when the time was right, he rose. Not just to any position, but to the highest seat of power. The same brothers who betrayed him were forced to stand before him in need. You are stepping into your rightful place. The ones who blocked you must now witness your rise, not because you fought for revenge, but because you remained unshaken. They thought they could rewrite your fate. But your blessings were only delayed, never denied. And now let us take a brief moment to honor the chosen among us. Here's to the ones who see the world differently, the silent guardians, the watchful souls, always awake, always vigilant. They don't fit the mold and they wouldn't have it any other way. While others walk familiar paths, they forge their own, fighting unseen battles, illuminating the shadows. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. But if you feel it deep within, you'll know this is meant for you. No masks, no pretense, just truth. The Obsidian Inner Order is here, a place where kindred spirits gather to share wisdom, to connect, to transform. Over 450 strong, united not by conformity, but by purpose. If you're ready, you know where to find us. The link is in the description. If not, that's perfectly fine. Because we're always here, watching over, making a difference in ways unseen. Here's to those who walk their own path, not for recognition, but because it's who they are. Here's to you. Thank you. You never needed their approval. You never chased recognition, never begged to be seen, never compromised your integrity for a shortcut. The recognition is finding you anyway. A leader in your field mentions your name in admiration. A respected figure cites your work as a model of excellence. A colleague tells you, "I always knew you had something special." You have moved forward, unshaken, and while your focus remained steady, their world began to collapse. The same adversaries who once paraded their influence now struggle to hold on to the scraps. Their calculated confidence is gone. Their names, once spoken with admiration, now carry whispers of scandal. Their reputations, carefully curated over years of manipulation, are unraveling under the weight of their own deceit. Your spiritual mentor notices the shift. They study your energy, observing the peace that radiates from you. Your aura is clear. You are untouchable. And they're right, because you are no longer carrying the weight of other people's darkness. The same stress, the same fear, the same tension that consumed your enemies is now their own to bear. A former rival mutters, "They don't even seem fazed." A frustrated opponent grumbles, "How are they thriving while we struggle?" You don't have to answer. You don't have to acknowledge them at all. Your path was never about their downfall. Your path was about your rise, and that rise is undeniable. Your friends see it, they feel it. They note how much lighter you move, how much more peaceful your presence has become. You have stepped into a new realm of authority, without force, without arrogance, without revenge, because divine justice requires no retaliation. The energy they projected onto you, it has found its way back to them. You remain focused, powerful, unbothered, because your success was never theirs to control. They didn't believe you. When you spoke the truth, they looked away. When you warned them, they laughed. When you stood your ground, they called you difficult, delusional, or bitter. Every word you spoke was inconvenient to them. They dismissed your struggles, labeled you dramatic, whispered among themselves that you were too much. Not because you were wrong, but because you were right. They needed you to be mistaken. They needed you to be crazy. Because if you weren't, then everything they trusted was a lie. They see. The veil has lifted, and what was once hidden can never be unseen. A former skeptic whispers, "I thought they were exaggerating, but they were right." A colleague mutters, "Everything they warned us about is happening." Someone who once dismissed you admits, "I should have listened." The people who once sided with your enemies are now questioning everything. They watched your struggles and assumed you were the problem. They believed the carefully crafted lies, repeated the same dismissive phrases until the cracks in the story became impossible to ignore. The same ones who discredited you, exposed. The same ones who made you the villain, unmasked. The same ones who insisted they were untouchable, now unraveling in front of everyone. You don't have to convince anyone anymore. The truth is doing the work for you. Your endurance was not in vain. Every moment you stood firm, every time you refused to conform, every time you kept moving. When they wanted you to fold, it created a ripple effect. One person wakes up, then another, then another. The whispers grow louder, The questions multiply. The deception that once controlled the narrative has lost its grip. You were never just fighting for yourself. Your resilience shifted the collective consciousness. They see it now. Your truth, your strength, your undeniable impact, and they are forced to acknowledge what they tried to ignore. They thought they were breaking you. Every obstacle, every betrayal, every moment of isolation, they assumed it was wearing you down, stripping you of your power, crushing your spirit. But they didn't understand who they were dealing with, because you were never fragile. The trials you endured did not weaken you. They refined you. A spiritual guide observes, pressure reveals truth, and your truth, it's unshakable. An old friend marvels, I don't know how you kept going. A former rival murmurs, they should have never underestimated you. You should have fallen. That was the plan. They orchestrated challenges meant to exhaust you. They created storms designed to drown you. They stacked the odds so high, they were certain you wouldn't climb out. But you did. You are unstoppable. Like gold refined by fire, every battle made you stronger. You move with precision. You speak with clarity. You step forward, no longer seeking approval, but fully owning your power. They see it now, the glow in your presence, the confidence in your stance, the undeniable force of someone who was meant to rise. You weren't broken, you weren't erased, you weren't destroyed, you were fortified. Your purpose is clear, your path is certain, and nothing can stop you. They never thought this day would come. When they plotted against you, they believed they would walk away untouched. That their power, their connections, their lies would shield them from consequence. They laughed at your struggles, moved against you without hesitation, wished for your downfall with no fear of retaliation. But judgment was always coming. A former supporter whispers, everything they did is coming back to them. An insider confesses, they thought they could get away with it. A witness mutters, it's almost poetic. The suffering they wished upon you, it has turned its gaze toward them. They wanted to see you fall, now they are stumbling. They wanted to see you break, now they are unraveling. They wanted you buried. Now they are the ones suffocating under the weight of their own actions. They try to run, but there is nowhere to hide. Their influence cracked, their wealth draining, their allies turning on them. Because deception has an expiration date. Haman built gallows, confident that Mordecai would be hanged upon them. He spun lies, controlled narratives, whispered his poison into the ears of those in power, convinced he had won. But the trap he set became his own downfall. The ones who plotted against you are facing their own reckoning, not by your hands. You don't need revenge. The weight of their own choices is enough. You watch in silence, not in anger, not in gloating, but in the unshaken knowing that what was always meant to happen is finally here. They tried to bury your name, dragged it through the mud, twisted your words, manipulated the narrative until the truth was unrecognizable. And for a while, they almost succeeded. A former critic admitted, I believed the wrong people. An old acquaintance confessed, I see it now. You were never the problem. A skeptic muttered, they lied about everything. The weight of their false accusations, gone. The whispers they spread, drowned out by the undeniable truth. Because truth has a way of resurfacing. Your name is being spoken with respect. Your work is being recognized with honor. Your character is being seen with clarity. They doubted you, but now they see. Not because you argued, not because you fought for validation, but because time, exposure, and divine order have cleared the path. Your silence was never weakness. Your endurance was never in vain. Your integrity was never a mistake. It was proof that you never needed their approval. Proof that the truth was always on your side. Proof that no amount of deception could erase what was real. The world knows exactly who you are. And the ones who tried to destroy you, they have to live with the fact that they failed. The weight is lifting. For so long, you carried burdens that were never yours. Expectations placed upon you, battles that weren't meant for you, cycles that were never yours to repeat. The chains are breaking, the path is clearing, the doors are opening. A spiritual guide declares, you are no longer bound by what was. A mentor observes, something has shifted. Their energy is lighter. A former doubter mutters, I don't understand how they keep rising. But you understand. This was never just about surviving. This was about deliverance. The systems that tried to contain you cracked beyond repair. The people who tried to control you forced to release their grip. The fear that tried to paralyze you, losing its hold forever because divine intervention has stepped in. The same way the Red Sea parted for the Israelites, the obstacles before you are dissolving. What was blocking you can no longer stand in your way. What was holding you back no longer has power over you. They said you would never escape. They said you would never rise. They said you would always struggle. They were wrong, because you are not just free, you are protected. You are chosen, and no force, no enemy, no deception can stand against what has already been set in motion. This is not just a win. This is a declaration. Your success is not random, not accidental, not a lucky break. It is the undeniable manifestation of divine justice, the restoration of everything that was stolen, the fulfillment of everything that was promised. You were never just fighting for survival, you were stepping into destiny. The ones who sought to break you must watch you thrive. A former rival mutters, I never thought they'd make it. A defeated enemy whispers, how did they rise? After everything we did. An onlooker observes, this is something beyond human effort. They are forced to witness what they tried to destroy flourish beyond their control. Their plans dismantled, their illusions of power shattered, their attempts to erase you rendered useless. Because you were never meant to be erased. Every setback, fuel for your acceleration. Every betrayal, a setup for divine vindication. Every hardship, a refinement for the power you now hold. You stand in full restoration, not just healed, elevated, not just surviving, thriving, not just recognized, revered. The time of joy, peace, and abundance is fully upon you. You do not have to question it. It is here. You do not have to wait for approval. It has already been granted. You do not have to prove anything. Your existence is proof enough. This is your season of undeniable victory, and nothing, not their doubt, not their envy, not their schemes, can change what has already been divinely ordained. The weight is gone. You feel it in the stillness, in the clarity of your own mind, in the unshakable peace that no longer feels temporary. You are free. The reports continue. Names are falling. Lies are unraveling. The same forces that once worked against you are now collapsing under the weight of their own deception. But you're no longer watching. Their downfall is not your focus. Your elevation is. The old cycles shattered, the burdens lifted, the resistance dissolved. There is no lingering fear, no hesitation, no waiting for validation. You have stepped out of the storm, and nothing from the past can reach you now. A mentor affirms, your energy is lighter than it has ever been. A close friend notes, you don't even react to the things that used to bother you. A former doubter murmurs, they've moved beyond us. Because you have. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 declares, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Your destiny is fully in motion, not delayed, not hindered, not held hostage by old wounds or unfinished battles. This is abundance. This is freedom. This is the moment everything changes. Tell them, what cycle have you broken? What shift do you feel happening in your life? Because when they look back, let them see the truth. You didn't just survive, you ascended.